Black Panther is like a king. So if we want to get technical, he has to run his country. Wakanda, he has to do all sorts of stuff like that. Whereas Iron Fist is just
I
training
love it.
every day. He's just training, man. He doesn't have to protect. He has to protect a monastery. He's just, all he's doing is fighting. He's just straight up fighting. He's making everyone catch hands. So Iron Fist, in my opinion, has it because Black Panther doesn't have like a power up. I mean, he does, but just like on their base power level, Iron Fist could like start turning it up more and more. And if you ask me, someone who trains every day and does martial arts every day for a living, as opposed to Black Panther who walks around in armor, I got Iron Fist in a straight up hand to hand combat fight.
Nice.
By the way, this is the guy I called Green Lizard guy, so this is why I'm not talking very much in this portion.
I thought you were talking actually about like the lizard,
Like lizard?
No,
yeah,
it was that
It was
guy.
not that close.
That's why I'm saying I'm totally off on this.
Giving him too much credit with that one.
Story of the fight, listeners. Thank you for joining us. We have a very special guest with us today. We have Khai, the Shadow Wu, professional MMA fighter, joining us today. Khai, thank you so much for hopping on with us, man.
Yeah, I never heard that. The story of the fight. That's a cool name. I like that. Appreciate you guys.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Will is actually the one that came up with that name.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was trying to do a breakdown at like show, not even do a podcast. It was just like I watched Dustin Poirier versus Dan Hooker, and I was like, man, the stuff that Dustin Poirier was doing, I want to like make a video like detailing it, and I did that, and then the UFC copyright claimed it, and I was like, oh, I guess I spent like 5 hours editing it. It was like a 30-minute episode, and I was like, I was so proud of it, and then I posted it, and immediately just got taken down. I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this ever again. And then Amir was like, dude, we should just do a show where we just recap the events. And I was like, okay, let's do that.
Yeah,
but that's why it was story
all
of the fight.
time. I always say like, yes, the story of the fight was this. That's how I describe the fight. Like it's a story behind it. So I never really thought of that like being coined like a podcast or like a term like your guys' name. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool, and it's so simple too.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Luckily, it wasn't taken on anything. We got it on like Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. Like I was like, how does nobody have this? But,
yeah, I saw you guys follow me earlier, and I'll give you guys a follow back. I wasn't sure who it was because I've been getting a lot of these random followers lately with weird messages. So,
Oh yeah, those are fun.
Yeah, I promise we won't be sending any weird messages unless you like them. Then we'll get right on it. But outside of that, man, yeah, more than anything, we just love picking your brain a little bit. We're not too serious or anything like that. We love to have fun with our guests.
Sure.
Yeah, if you don't mind, we'll go ahead and get started here. And the very first thing I want to ask, right, because Khai, the Shadow Wu, for me, that's an awesome nickname, the Shadow. So I kind of want to know, like, where did that come from? Who gave you the nickname?
Yeah, so ever since I was a kid, I was just kind of always like Batman the most. Like he's my favorite superhero.
Nice.
No powers, but I like the tactics behind it, like the IQ, the discipline. There's something about being human and doing all that. So, anyways, I just always thought he was cool. And then when I was fighting, I was like, you can't really give yourself a nickname. It's kind of lame unless you're like born like I don't know, like you're like literally a prince of a country and you decided to turn pro in MMA, and I guess you could be called the prince, But I'm not. I'm neither of those things, and I'm not like especially skilled physically or athletically, in any one area. So I was like, what nickname could I come up with and give myself? And I thought about it. I was like, Khai the Batman Wu, which sounds horrible. It sounds just absolutely the worst, just I don't know, it's just horrible, man. I played around with the idea, it's just not good. And then one day I was fighting, I think it was my second amateur fight. The more I tell the story, the more I forget because it's so long already, like I remember it was like yesterday, but now it's like a memory. And I was fighting someone. The guy would throw, like, the guy was longer than me, he was throwing like long leg kicks at me and stuff, but I would like make a miss, and then I'd hit him with the same stuff. Everything he did, I was just kind of being a dick in that fight. Like mentally, whatever he did, I was like, I'm going to do the same thing back to you. And I fought him like that. And then after the fight, someone was like, man, it's like you're there, but you're not. You know, everything he did, you did. You're hitting him with the same stuff that he was throwing at you. It's like you're there, but you're not, kind of like a shadow. And then at that moment, I was like, oh man, this is sick. This is it. I think that was the
This can
moment I
work.
was like, yeah, it like kind of hit. It was like an epiphany moment for like, when the Batman sees the bats or the Superman sees the S logo. I was like,
Yeah.
this is it. So then that's kind of what happened, and I just stuck with it ever since.
Yeah, it's honestly a top tier nickname.
Thank you. Yeah, I got lucky with that.
I think me and Ramiro judge nicknames super hard too.
Maybe more than we should, quite honestly. And
Yeah.
the nicknames and the walkout music are the two things where I'm like, hey, I like this guy, or I don't know how this is gonna go. All based off the nickname and the walkout music. Hilarious.
I know what you mean.
By the way, I'm also digging the walkout music, and that's one of the things where I was telling Will, I was like, darn, we should have, gotten his walkout music as an intro into this episode. But then it's your walkout music. Didn't want to, overstep our boundaries and be like, hey, we just threw it all without talking to you first, But you have sick walkout music too, man.
Thanks. Yeah. I'm like, when I fight over in Asia, because I fought in Taiwan a lot, I like to play old school. I like the old school, the 80s, like with the Rocky movies, like the Prey movie just came out,
Yeah.
I had to rewatch Predator, and it's been like so long since I rewatched it. That is one of the most badass movies ever, So I love the theme and I love to adjust, but for Asia, over in Asia, they have a lot of like old school, like, the Godfather type movies, but it's like the Asian version or their stories. So I was like, what if I got like an old melody of like a movie called God of Gamblers? And what if I like change the theme song, or like It Man? You guys know the movie It Man with Donnie Yen. I was like, what happens if I use his song? And I just get my friend who's a music producer, and I was like, I'm just gonna have him slap some hard bass to it, remix it, and modernize it. I'm like, why not? And I started doing that. So my last few fights over in Asia, my walkouts have been like old school music, and it just kind of changes, like I just modernize it, and I'm like, this is so cool, So it actually helped with my I would say like my appeal to the crowd and growing the sport over there, because then more people would be like, oh man, this is so cool. Like, we want to hear his walkout song, and he's like up to date, because the sport is so outdated over there. It's not like popular like it is here. So I'm just trying to grow the sport over there. And yeah, I got a lot of people fired up. So it was really cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's awesome, man.
What do you think like the main differences like when you're fighting here compared to over there? Like you say, it's like it's outdated over there. Like, do you enjoy one more than the other?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say I enjoy fighting. Well, see, I don't know. Now you got me thinking, because I like certain aspects of fighting there, but fighting here is like, I'm not gonna lie to you. I like the drunken, fans and the idiots cheering. I like I'm not saying all of them are, but I like those people. Even the people that cheer against me. Like one time when I was fighting Bellator, this was my second pro fight. I got poked in the eye, and then I think it was my opponent's manager or like someone in the crowd that had something to do with like being a manager or something. And they're like cussing me out. They're like, you lied about your eye. Like, you're lying. Suck it up. Get back in the fight. And in my opinion, I was just like, whoa, this is really intimidating. Like, had I known, I mean, I'm in a fight, like there's just so many things going on, and I had the lack of experience. I was just like, what do I do? Do I keep like, take my full 5 minutes, or do I get back into it? And then, one thing leads to another. So I kind of like that now looking back at it. I'm like, dude, I like the aggression, the raw, pure, like, savagery here. But then over in Asia, it's quiet. You could have the arena I fought in the most at one time was like 3,000 people. And it was a huge crowd, like the way they seated it and stuff. And it was quiet. You could hear the elbows. People are dropping. And I'm like, dude, this is wild. And the only time they cheer is when a finish is about to happen. But other than that, it's just like silent. And then they don't sell alcohol in the stadium too. So no one's drinking or eating. Everyone's just quiet and showing up. And they show up from the undercard. Yeah, exactly. They want to get their money's worth. So they show up from the very beginning. Like, they're like, man, we paid for this, so we want to even see the national anthem being played or the previews. So like, we want to be there from the very beginning. So it's super cool fighting in Asia, but definitely fighting here too has its perks where, you walk out like me and you guys, like someone's walking out, I look at the guy, I'm like, oh, what's his nickname? It's like, oh man, another warrior. another something the warrior or like the beast, and his walkout song is like Face the Pain. I'm like, all right, come on,
Yeah,
dude,
Face the Pain.
but it's like if it's something a little bit more exciting, he's playing something cool. Like I had my friend, he was fighting, and then he was fighting in Stockton, right? So it's not like the nicest crowd in the world. Everyone was kind of rooting against him because his opponent was like, fighting more locally than him because my friend was from LA and I cornered him. And he's walking out. He's about to walk out and everyone's kind of like booing him. Like someone's like, oh, look at this guy. Some made a few racial remarks because he's Asian. They're like, oh, look, it's this Asian chink guy, whatever, Bruce Lee wannabe. And his walkout song gets screwed up because he was going to play an Asian like theme song, Hong Kong, like some cool old school Hong Kong song. The guy changed it up on him because they switched up a matchup where one guy fell off, whatever. And next thing you know, 21 Savage with Drake's Knife Talk starts playing. And you just see this Asian kid, like my teammate, or the guy I'm cornering, he's a friend of mine, Edward, the most Asian looking guy you could expect. No tattoo, no abs. He smoked a cigarette like 20 minutes before the fight. He's just crazy, Asian. And he walks out and Knife Talk starts playing. And he turns around and looks at me and goes, that's not my song. And he's shaking his head. And these guys get hyped from him. They start cheering for him. And I'm like, okay,
let's roll with it. Roll with it.
And he starts walking out and nodding his head. He's like, yeah, all right, this isn't it. But it's just his carefree attitude. So definitely I like the aspect of that here, whereas over in Asia, it's maybe a little too polite at times.
Yeah, that reminds me of when Mike Perry walked out. I forgot who he was fighting. And they're playing Halo.
Yeah,
it's like a Beyonce.
He jams out with it too. He's a character, man.
Yeah, that was classic.
But you mentioned fighting in Taiwan, right? And then you just mentioned the Bellator fight as well. And I know that you're the first fighter with a Taiwan background to have fought in Bellator. Am I correct?
Yes, because of political issues right now with Taiwan and China, I'm going to say I am of the Asian background because technically, if you want to get technical, which you never know what's going to happen, but technically my dad is from Shanghai, which is China. So I have background in China. And then my mom's from Taiwan. So I have the best of both worlds. So no one can come after me politically.
So congratulations for that. And I was just wondering, because you mentioned how the sport's getting outdated over there. You feel like it's a little outdated. Do you feel any extra pressure when you go fight over in Taiwan because of that?
I'm very honest with myself. And what I mean by that is the answer is no, because you don't have to be the best to do something. You just have to be the first, to be honest with you. There's so many guys that have won Olympic gold medals in Taiwan from 1980s all the way till now. I don't remember a single one of them. But MMA is, if you talk about MMA in Taiwan, or let's just say Asia, to be a little bit more general, no one knows what MMA is. So the minute you bring up MMA, they're like, oh, who's the most popular MMA guy? It would be me, because they pushed me the hardest because I had no tattoos. I wasn't, I didn't have this McGregor vibe to it, which doesn't sell over there. They like it. Don't get me wrong. They like the Floyd and Connor, but they don't really root for him. They just tune in to I just want to see what happens, but they don't really root for people like that. And I feel like I was a little bit of a breath of fresh air because I'm just myself. And I relate to a lot of these people because you could find a Francis Ngannou from Taiwan, right? But then that wouldn't really make sense because not all Taiwanese average size are not those guys, So it's hard to relate. It's kind of like when Leon Edwards said recently about Bisping. He was like, I'm the first UK guy to live in the UK, stay there and do it. And Bisping, kind of chattered back and was like, well, I had no choice, which I get what he's saying, because there's probably won't be a guy coming out of Taiwan who understands the business and all that without some sort of mentoring or something like that and being guided. It's going to take decades for the sport to develop. So what you need is someone from the outside source, best of both worlds, and to go over there and spread, kind of like, hey, how MMA business is done, the sponsorships, all that stuff. So yeah, I think that's the reason why there's no pressure is because I'm like, there's no one else doing it. And I don't see a rising tide raises all ships. If I do it good and someone else is doing it better, I'm like, dude, that's great. You're just going to raise my stocks, and then I'm going to raise your stocks because it's competition just elevates, But a lot of the people over there are so short-sighted. They're like, we're just going to fight over this area that we have. We're going to be the best in Taiwan. I'm like, come on, dude. Like, don't think about that. Don't get me wrong. There is a guy from Taiwan, Rocky Lee. He fought in UFC before. He was in the Ultimate Fighter China, and he paved the way. There's another guy named Jeff Huang who also was a ONE FC fighter. They all paved the way for where I am today. So I got to give respect to them. It's not like I'm saying I'm the only one doing it. But then again, with all due respect, these guys are getting older. They're in their 30s and close to 40s. They're probably going to quit fighting soon. So they pass the torch on. And so far, I think I've been the one to carry it. But again, I'm very honest with myself. I'm like, I'm not this, Rod Tang wonder coming out of Asia. I'm just kind of like myself doing my own thing. And I don't need to be the best, to be honest with you, because how many guys are out there that are insanely good, but almost the casuals don't know who they are. But then you mentioned a Sean O'Malley, you mentioned a Conor. There's still people out there that think MMA is Conor. You know what I'm saying? So as long as I could have that same presence in Asia at a minuscule level, I can connect the dots and just start helping fighters out and just building the sport up to be something like, just get a good image on it first. Once we get a good image and the funding comes in, everything comes in, I think I did my job, and then also I like to fight too. So, kill two birds with one stone, grow the sport as well as continue my career. Can't complain.
Yeah, that's cool. I think to have that perspective is pretty important. That's cool.
Yeah, and man, it's just nice to hear that in the middle of your career, like you said, you love to fight, you're doing something you love to do, but at the exact same time, you're thinking big picture, and you're thinking about how it is that you can help other people along the way too. That says a lot about you, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely got some help along the way too in my career, and on top of that too, it's like, man, you can't get anywhere far in this game if you want to go alone. You can go somewhere fast, but then at some point you're just going to need help. Everyone needs help, in life. And like, I've had a great mom, she taught me a lot of lessons, and she taught me how to network. And from a very young age, I just kind of always shadowed her, really watched her do business and how she talked to people and how she went from nothing, coming here illegally to running her own international business overseas. And I just kind of watched her every day, studying, reading, and she never really like hit me or like, spanked me or yelled at me as a kid. She just more always like gave me lessons, like just stories. It sounds like very funny, but it's like literally like a traditional Asian. I break a bowl in the kitchen, and then she'll ask me, she was like, life is, filled with, lemons or some sort of quote like that. I'm like, what does this have to do with the bowl? And years later, like, come to find out, my mom's like Yoda from when Luke met, Yoda on Dagobah, like that Empire Strikes Back. I literally, it's my mom. When I was younger, I used to see her like kind of goofy and not really like, I'm like, we never really didn't have anything when I was younger, meaning I'm not saying we're poor or anything, but like, we traveled a lot, moved a lot of like to a lot of different places, and she didn't really have an formal education. So it's like, my mom isn't the smartest per se, but then next thing you know, as I get older, I'm like, oh my gosh, she was laying the foundation, and she was like taking over stuff, and she was reading, and that's what she was doing this whole time. And all the lessons she taught me is slowly dropping in place now. So even after, like, she's in Taiwan right now, so I haven't seen her for a while because of COVID. Even after all this time, I'm still seeing her lessons like today, and I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't do that because she mentioned this a few years ago, and then I just see it trickle down. I'm like, oh man, this is insane. I don't know what it's called. Maybe it's that ancient Chinese wisdom secret, but it works. I appreciate it.
Damn, that's cool.
That's super cool.
I'm sure she's have you told her that you see all that stuff now?
Yeah, I mean, she kind of like, I don't tell her that because she kind of goes, I told you so. She just already knows. But yeah, I mean, I'm learning. That's one thing that she did tell me, though, is just like, be open-minded, like, talk to everyone. You never know who you're going to meet. Treat the janitor the same way you would a CEO. If not, even more so, chat with this guy, because everyone wants to be friends with the CEO, no one wants to be friends with the janitor, but you never know what this guy might have, like the wisdom lessons that he's had to go through and learn. So I'm like, that's a good point. So I've always kind of not repped, but I've always kind of been with the outcasts, like the kids, the nerdy kids at school, because I was a huge nerd in middle school and high school. I was always talking about Batman and Superman. I was the kid with the notebook. I mean, I still have, like, right now, like one of my supplements is literally like a Batman supplement.
That's awesome.
And then, like, I have like a lunchbox from like a, like you go to Target or something, you see like a kid Superman
Yeah.
lunch pail. I'll grab that. People used to still like, even as like right now, people like, who's a kid's, lunchbox? I'm like, it's mine. I just love this stuff. I'm a comic book nerd at heart. And then, when I was a kid in high school, people would be like, they're all into girls and this and that. I'm just like talking with my friends, like the nerdy ones, and they'd get, kind of picked on at times, and so would I. But I'm just like, yeah, but if someone thinks it's cool, that like Izzy, Asanya, you're gonna go up
Yeah.
to him and say he's a nerd, like come on, so you kind of break the cycle, and it's just like, I think we're just all growing as society. So I think it's really cool that
Yeah.
I have so many people that are just, there's fighters, there's my friend group, and then there's my COD group, Warzone, where me and the boys drop, and then there's my nerds where I could just go in and we could play Dungeons and Dragons. We could just start talking like that. It's just kind of funny.
Nice.
So I feel like I fit in everywhere like a shadow.
That's a shadow.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's
Man,
cool.
and if you don't mind, there's a couple things that you brought up right now, like the nickname, right? And how it is that you got the nickname, your relationship with your mom. So I was watching the fight against, is it Sung Min Kim?
Yes, my 2 fights ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And a couple things that popped up about that is just your ability to find your range really quickly in that fight. And you stayed at the perfect range where Kim would throw something and you'd be able to just do minimal movement to get out of the way, and you'd be right back in your range. And like you said, you'd respond with the same leg kick, or you respond with a straight or a jab. So I see like putting a couple things together with what you said around your nickname and the actual movement that I saw against Kim on there, right? So that's pretty cool. But the thing that I really wanted to talk about in the fight that touched me, and I was like, I really want to talk to this guy, is when you brought your mom into the octagon. I thought that was a super cool moment. And so the question for me, and this is something I don't think I've really asked anybody so far for the folks that we've interviewed, is, how supportive were your parents in the beginning when you told them, I want to go into fighting?
My dad is more traditional. He's not the go explore a random ass career that no one's ever done. Like it's just I have 4 siblings. One's an optometrist, one's an anesthesiologist or a nurse now, and another one's a pharmacist, right? So you kind of get my drift. Like they're all like, I'm the black sheep of the family, So it definitely wasn't easy with my dad, because he's like, hardcore bragging to his friends about, all this other stuff. Like, like my dad used to work for IBM. He's an engineer. His coworkers, they'd be like, oh yeah, my son just got into Harvard. How's your son doing? And this and that. It's kind of pathetic that I wasn't able to give him something cool. And I apologize to him that I'm not good at school, but I did tell him, like, I may not have gave you bragging rights there, but eventually I'm going to become somewhat someone of success, and you'll be able to brag about it then. And every year it didn't come, and I was a little bit lazy at times. I'm not going to lie, but I always believed. I didn't know what I was going to do, though. That's the thing. So they weren't exactly supportive, because I was just kind of dabbling in and out of stuff. And then when I took my first amateur fight, my parents were there. I was a deer in headlights. I thought this could, I was always like, it's like, when we watch fights, I'm like, I should have just done this. In my head, I'm like, why don't people just get a knockout in a fight and that's it? And I know it's a lot harder said than done, but I was like, I should be able to pull it off, So then my first fight, I was a deer in headlights for the first like minute maybe. And now I just started blasting away. I just started blasting, and then 22 strikes later, it was unanswered, and I got the win. After the fight, instead of being all excited and stuff, I was like, man, I think I could do this for a living. Like you could almost see in the cage, I just bowed out. And in my head, I was already thinking of a career. I was like, maybe I could do this. And that's when I started to like, think I could do this more. So to kind of go back to the question, like how supportive were they in the beginning? Not very, because at the end of the day, their thing is like, can you take care of yourself in life, right? And do you have enough money, and we don't want to see our son get hurt, broken bones, joints, all that good stuff. So it was tough. But then my mom is the opposite of a traditional Asian parent. She's like, you can go work at McDonald's for all I care, as long as you're a good person at heart. So she never really gave me that school pressure. That's why it was really cool when I wasn't able to give my mom and dad any bragging rights. My mom, I brought her into the cage because, I just headlined an event for a sport that's not developed in a country that my mom was born in, so I was able to do that, bring her into the crowd, center of the cage, and introduce her to the crowd. And then for my dad, I was able to tell him, I did a TED talk in Taiwan, a TEDx speech, and I was like, go show that to your friends. Now you have bragging rights. How many of your coworkers' sons that went to Harvard and Stanford, how many of them gave TEDx talks? I'm like, boom, there you go, dropped it on them. So I was excited.
And also knocked some dude out. And also
and then also ended up in a magazine. So that was really cool. It wasn't a sports magazine too. It's one of the most random. It's a home decor magazine that's it's like a luxury home decor places to travel and visit. And for some reason, the editor and the owner of the paper was at my fight, and she was like, I think you're cool. I want to put you in my magazine. I'm like, oh, cool. What magazine is it? She's like,
Good Housekeeping.
And it's like the most random, you could find this. I mean, it's an expensive magazine apparently, because it costs like $15, and over there it's kind of a lot of money. It's like $15 here, but it was so random. When they did an interview with me, I was like, how's this going to be put up? And then she was like, home decor, the front of the magazine, home decor, luxurious places to travel that's very expensive, and how to plan things out, and like a couch, like a new couch that's foldable. It's some expensive couch, like some kind of IKEA stuff, right? And out of nowhere at the corner, it's like introducing a special athlete. And I'm like, I'll run with this. Is the most badass and random thing you could be. I don't want to be on a fighters magazine. I want to be on a home decor magazine, get the random audience. And then they did a whole full-on spread, and then I didn't know it was going to be that serious. I showed up thinking they're just going to give me a small tag. I go to the local, magazine store. Apparently, everyone was telling me you could just go to any local one and grab it. And I went to a local one, and I grabbed it, and I think I posted a video on TikTok or Instagram, but I open it and I flip open the page I'm looking for. This is the first time I've seen it live, and I flip around and show, my friend who's filming me. I just get so excited, I couldn't help but laugh. And then, it was just really cool. So I told my dad, I was like, check this out. And then my dad actually comes back to me and goes, hey, my coworkers said that they saw you on the Taiwan news. They saw you in the magazine. They saw you do a TED talk. And then my dad's like, where are you showing up on all these places? I don't see anything about this. So I started laughing. My dad doesn't know any of this stuff. It's all his coworkers that tell him. So I'm like, this is so cool. So those are from my dad not really supporting in the beginning till now. They're all very supportive. They actually they're like, this is awesome. But my mom was always cool with it. Just, she didn't want me to get hurt. My dad was the one that wanted to really rub it in his face. And I do every day. I just tell him like, hey, how's your, you missed your TED talk giving speech, son, yet? I just tell him brag. So it's cool.
That's hilarious.
And then on the same token there, now you said you have how many siblings?
I think four. Yeah, four.
Yeah, he's like, I think. Yeah. So, how much of a role did your family play in you becoming a fighter? Did
besides your brother-in-law?
Yeah. Besides your brother-in-law,
I think. I don't think I would have. I would have done martial arts no matter what, because I was already thinking of taking Taekwondo when I was a kid in Taiwan, right? Because I lived there for a few years for school. But I don't think I would have taken up professional fighting had I not. See, okay, this is a tough one though, because I would. The reason why I turned pro was because I got it. I'm very competitive by nature. I wasn't in the beginning. I wanted to be a basketball player, and then the reason why I slowly went away from basketball is because at the gym, I would get tapped out more in class. And, I guess I do have to actually say, now that I'm thinking about it out loud, that if my brother-in-law had not put me in just adult classes, and just no kids classes, I'm just getting smashed by adults, and I get aggravated, I get angry. I'm like, I don't know, I'm a kid, I'm not really big. So when I put on the gi when I was around 12, I only did adult classes. So if they grabbed me or knee cut, pass, do all sorts of stuff in the gi, they'd pinch me. I'd end up with bruises. I just hated that feeling. And then I could never do anything against them. And then when I was 14, I did my first jiu-jitsu tournament. I was actually going to not do that jiu-jitsu tournament. I was going to do a basketball tournament instead. But then my brother-in-law kind of was like, hey, you should compete. And I'm like, that's true. I do kind of want to compete. So then when I competed, I didn't know he signed me up for the juvenile division, which is 14 to 16, gi, no gi. And then he had me do adult gi and no gi, and so 4 different weight classes. And that tournament, I just guillotined everyone. I could not believe it. Oh, I'm sorry. That was my second tournament. The first tournament I ever did was US Open, where I choked some kid to sleep. That was my first time. My heart sunk. I thought I killed this kid because he went limp. He went limp, and it was from a turtle position. So I put like this necktie choke on him, and I got off the choke to try to sprawl on him. And when I got up, he wouldn't move. And I was like, what? And then someone was like, he's out. And I looked, because this is my first tournament ever. I don't know what do I do? And the ref came over and told me to back away, like just stay away. And I'm like,
you've done
I don't know
enough
what to do, you know? Like, and then you see a photo. There's an iconic photo that I have still of the main head referee coming over, and he's like shrugging his shoulders like this, like I don't know what to do. So I freaked out, but then the kid woke up shortly after, and I was like, I won the U.S. Open. Like this was white belt, but I'm like, I've never won anything. You know, I was like never really good at sports. I was a pretty good basketball player, only at shooting. I could never drive. I could never take a like damage or I just wasn't a tough kid growing up. But then jiu-jitsu just kind of made me tougher. And then the more the better I got at basketball, the worse I'd get at jiu-jitsu. So then I would be like, no, I need to catch up to this guy at the gym. I need to, tap this guy. I need to tap that guy. I need to just do more. And then that's kind of how I got into it. So I would definitely say my siblings were very supportive, but had I not met my brother-in-law, I don't think I would have gotten into that route as hard. And my siblings are all like, in the beginning, they were also very big on me going to school because, they all went to nice colleges and whatnot. But I think they saw not like the talent in me, but it might have just been more of like the stubbornness. But it was a good stubborn, like I'm going to get this done. I'd start waking up at 6 a.m. I'd train before Christmas. I'd train during Thanksgiving. Like I started like wanting to. I faked it. Like I faked like I want to be cool, so I'm going to train on Thanksgiving, and it became a habit though. I faked being cool, and it ended up being cool. So I was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool," and now I do it, and that's kind of how it happened. So they definitely are supportive now, and they just wanted what's best for me, obviously. So I don't blame them for not being super supportive right away, but it's good now.
And that was
cool.
Dave, right? Brother-in-law Dave?
Yeah.
I
Dave
wonder
Camarillo,
if he, like, what does he think now? He's like, man, I took him at, what was it, 9 years old to jiu-jitsu?
Earlier than that.
That?
Yeah. No, 9 I started jiu-jitsu, but I've known him since I was 2 or 3.
And so for you to be fighting now, a professional fighter, I wonder what he thinks.
He's over the fight game, by the way. Like, he's in Hollywood now. He does like, he just
stunts,
worked
right?
on, yeah, he's doing a lot of stunt stuff. He just, I believe, well, I don't know if I can say this, but, well, let's just say I
think I know what you're going to say.
The new John Wick movie. He's John Wick 4. He worked on that. I think maybe edit that out. I'm not sure. I'm sorry about that.
We'll bleep that one.
Yeah. But he just did a lot of movies, and that was super cool. His whole experience, telling me about it. It's kind of like random because he went from cornering, guys like Cain Velasquez, Fitch, Koscheck, Swick, Cormier when he was coming up, and Luke Rockhold, to opening up his own gym, doing his own thing. And then out of nowhere, instead of doing acting or, some kind of gigs, he just jumped straight into like, I forget how it happened, but Chad Stahelski, the main director of John Wick, was like a big fan of his, or they like worked together or something. So now the director literally pulled you from your line of work.
Oh, wow.
And just goes, hey, I'm going to put you in the movie as like you train this guy, you train that guy, or you train Keanu and you teach him. You're going to come up with all the fight scenes. So it was super cool to hear about the experience.
That is awesome.
And then it's out now, but he and we work with Mark Zuckerberg, a jiu-jitsu coach for him, and that was
talking about it on Rogan.
Like, yeah, that was super cool. So that was random. So a lot of things obviously are super random and just kind of happen out of the blue. But the cool thing about it all is like it wasn't like a progressive thing. It was just like boom. Here you go. Like do that.
You're rolling with adults.
Yeah. You just everything like I feel like that we've done has built us to where we are now, led us to where we are now. But if you just kind of like if you were me at the time, you're just like we still do have a government contract with where we work with military hand-to-hand combat and stuff. And I was 18 going to teach these super cool guys, like you can only imagine. So I'm going there as an 18-year-old kid that I didn't have too many fights then, but I'm just like, what am I doing here? These guys are savages. Like these guys are like these guys are all Rambos. What am I doing? Working with these guys. And then I had to earn their respect. And like my story was kind of like I had to toughen up. It was like fight or flight. You had to fit in. You have to do these things. And I held pads for these savages. I was like doing like 80 round pad works. I hold like a record there. My forearms were bruised, but then it earned their respect. And it was just really cool how I went from 18-year-old kid to jumping in and training these guys, and then watching the Fitches and Luke Rockhold's come up with their career till now. He just retired. And now Dave's in Hollywood. And I used to watch Matrix and growing up like that. And then now him and Keanu are friends. And next thing you know, I've always been big on promoting social media. Like I was telling my friends, like maybe when I was in high school, like 17 or 18, I was like, listen, Instagram and Facebook is the new way to market yourself as a fighter. You have to start doing stuff like that. You could go down my timeline. I don't delete anything on Instagram because I just want people to see the progressional growth. But back then I was already like, you need a DSLR camera, you need to hire a local photographer, you need to work with people and build yourself up. I don't need the best. I just need people that are willing to, put in the work. You want to grow your resume? I'd love to work with you. I don't even have anything to offer you, but I'm telling you, I'm going to beat somebody. It's a gamble. You believe me or you don't. That's how we're going to do things. And you try to work you try to work things out. And the next thing you know, I'm working with, Mark, and I'm just like, hey, I use Instagram too. It's like the creator, I'm like, what do I do? How do I talk to this guy?
He's like, looking forward to your next fight.
yeah. He comments that, right? And it's like, yeah. So it kind of goes from like back then, I already thought social media was going to be the way to do things. And then now I'm working with that guy, kind of random. We had a dog. My sister and my brother-in-law Dave had a dog named Neo from the Matrix, like Neo from the Matrix, the white Pomeranian dog. Passed away last year, unfortunately. But next thing you know, Dave's working with Keanu. It's like, what are the chances? Like, I mean, why didn't they find John Danaher or these other guys? I'm not disrespecting them at all. I'm not trying to put them down or say like, look at us, but there's got to be a reason why. They're seeking certain people in this industry and whatnot. And I'm just like super grateful. And then the thing with Dave too that sucks is he doesn't hook things up really. Like I'm like they're talking about this new project in Hollywood that's going to be big, and it's an Asian movie, like an Asian cast supposedly. I'm like, oh, I could do one of the things. He was like, no way, man, you can't take falls. Stairs. And I'm like, that's probably true. So he's never hooked anything up. So anything that I've ever gotten was because he's like, yeah, I think you're ready for it. He's super tough, but I respect that because he's like, you're not going to get handed down anything, like nothing. Like even my blue belt, I was a blue belt for 6 years. I had my blue belt for 6 years, and I remember after my fight, I was like, I submitted this Korean guy or Japanese opponent in my third pro fight with a bulldog choke. And I told Dave, I was like, can I get my purple now? He was like, that was sloppy. I was like, what are you talking about? That was submission of the night. That was almost submission of the year, according to some polls. So I'm like, what are you talking about? But he's just, he's honest. He's like, you have no bottom game. You could have gotten out wrestled. You got lucky. And I'm like, that's true. That's what I needed to hear. So yeah, I see him as like a, what do you call it? Like a mentor, but like a, anti-mentor, like he mentors you by using the reverse psychology thing. So I just think it's super funny. And a lot of the stuff that, we kind of do together now, partner up with teaching, certain people. It's only if I'm ready, or he's like, man, you're good at pad holding, because that's what I'm also known for is training people. So he was like, hey, let me bring you in and work with this person or that person. So that's kind of cool.
That is cool.
I'm just a kid from I'm just a kid from Tracy, like that's why I'm a big fan of Cat, because he's like, I'm just a kid from Brooklyn, and nothing special. And I'm just like, neither am I. I have no like I'm not like this wealthy parents background. No, like literally everything I have now, the sponsors, the money, the followers, all that stuff, I just built it from the ground up. So I'm very proud when I talk about this. And also a lot of the people that I've chatted with, I'm kind of like, dude, now you're part of my story. This is really cool. Let's see how far it goes. So I got to always give out shout outs to like these people that have stuck by me. So it's really cool.
Hell yeah. Shout out Tracy. I just drove through Tracy on Wednesday coming back home from
Are you guys in Cali?
I am. I'm in Monterey. I used to live in Gilroy.
Oh,
now I'm in Monterey.
Okay. Oh, awesome. That's not too far at all.
Yeah, I'm over in Texas.
Oh, how do you like Texas?
I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm over in the DFW area. I've been trying to convince Will to come over here. And my boy over there just got married, so I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon.
Oh. Nice. I've been trying to go to Texas for a while now. I had a friend who moved to Texas, and he's been telling me to go. But then the issue was that storm that you guys had or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Don't come yet. Let me make sure it's good for another year or two, and then you come over." I was like, "All right."
Yeah, man. If you ever happen to be in the area, you can always hit me up, and I'll be more than happy to take you to a nice steak dinner or barbecue dinner or something. We got some good barbecue over here. But I've always said, man, now that I'm in here, I'm never moving out, dude. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. Where's the area that's your downtown Houston, or like near Dallas, or where?
I'm near Dallas. I'm closer to Dallas. I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. So you're near my friend. His name is we share the same sponsors. We've trained together before. Stephen Wynn on the Ultimate Fighter. He trains out of Fortis.
Yeah. Fortis MMA.
Yeah. Are you far from there or anything like that?
No, that's pretty close actually.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. No. So that'd be awesome, man. Like I said, if you ever want to link up, that it'd be a good time, Yeah. And then Will, did you have anything else before we get going into the next part?
Yeah, I wanted to say real quick. So you talked about you got a necktie in the U.S. Open in that first one where you choked the kid out.
Yeah.
Was it a Peruvian necktie?
No, I modified my grip because my arms aren't long enough. So there's a gable grip called the Japanese necktie, and it's kind of like you pull like a half guard kind of thing. There's that's the Japanese necktie. There's the Peruvian necktie, which CB Dalloway pulled it off in the UFC, and I think someone else did in the WC. That's where I saw it first, the WC and then the UFC. But you grab your own wrist, but I don't have very long arms. So I changed the grip to this. And then I thought it was funny because when I changed the grip, every single time people ask me, I'm like this. And then it's a C. So I was like, oh, it's a Chinese necktie. So I named it. I was like, if everyone's making up names, why can't I? So I went on YouTube. I did a lot of research. And at the time, everyone was showing Peruvian neckties like this. You grab your arm, throw it over their head. But again, like I said, my arms are really short. So I was like, I'm going to go this grip that gives me like a longer reach. And then I was like, well, this is a C. I'm just name it the Chinese necktie, So then that's kind of how it started.
I'll have to rewatch the Vergara fight. Did you do the same grip in that one?
Yeah, I got him with it as a pro.
Yeah.
And a bunch of jiu-jitsu tournament highlights. I've gotten maybe I have footage of 12 matches where people shoot on me and just necktie them.
It looked, honestly, in their last fight in Colorado, it looked like he shot on you and you kind of sprawled and ended up in that position, and it looked like you were about to step over. And I was like, dude, is this guy going to get another one? But then
I was
go for it officially. But
except this guy knew it was coming. He was like, "You're throwing a necktie, huh?" And I was like, "Maybe." But
he said it.
The way he said it, he called it out, and then it might have messed with me because after he said it, I was like, I kind of want to punch him in the face now for saying it.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to punch him. So then that's when we kind of stood up and then exchanged again. But
yeah, that's funny.
Hilarious.
That's like the go-to. That's cool. I'll have to look at that. I have to look at that and see the grip because that's super cool. That's all I got, Ramiro.
I had one last thing. You mentioned the TED Talk earlier. Watched it. Really inspirational, man. Really inspirational. The play the hands you're dealt, right? You talked about just, being raised in California and Asia, bullied at a young age. And you mentioned a few things like I was smaller, uncoordinated, shy to talk about or in front of large crowds, in front of people. Mm-hmm. And you talked about going into jiu-jitsu and the confidence that built. And I was just thinking, because I'm a parent right now, my kids in sports, and I just know some parents that just refuse to put kids in sports. Will just let them sit there and play video games all day, which, hey, there's some kids making some serious money now playing video games,
Yeah.
For you, how important is it in your mind for kids to get into sports at an early age?
I think it's huge. You need that competitive edge, and this is my opinion, and I don't think it's right or wrong. And I like to say that because there's a lot of evidence that shows otherwise. There's a lot of pros and cons to everything, but I think it's huge. I think it's huge to put kids in sports, but I'm not a big fan of the way some sports are nowadays, such as participation trophies. And I don't like that because if you jump in a sport, right, let's say soccer, and you participate in a match, you don't do good, you do okay, you get a medal. Now, what you're rewarding is mediocrity. I know that sounds crazy, but honestly, it is. As a kid, you should know, I don't like this sport. I'm not good at it. I don't like it. So you move on to something else and you do something else. And you're like, maybe basketball is it. But if you get a medal for just doing something, you're like, oh, in life, I'm just going to get rewarded for doing the bare minimum. If I lose to another kid in a sport and I get a medal for it, I'm just going to be like, oh, well, I tried, right? That's the mentality. But how mediocre is our lives going to be, like the effort that we put into something, right? I think that's just logical. I love studying psychology and philosophy and stuff like that. And I'm not trying to sound like, ludicrous here, but like if a kid does a sport and he loses, I think it's important for the kid to know, like, I lost because I was eating hot Cheetos yesterday or today, and I got tired because I just didn't run. This kid is running laps before the game starts, or yesterday. He worked harder than you. That's why he got it. And that's the explanation the kid needs to have. And either the kid goes, well, I don't care that he worked harder because I don't care about this. Either he knows that at an early age, or he goes, okay, I need to step my game up. And at the end of the day, even after it's all said and done, he could take a look at, I may have lost, but I put my best foot forward, and look at all the lessons you learned. Waking up early, discipline. You can do these things. You just lost him because the truth is he's better. And you can't lie to yourself. That's the issue with a lot of these people. These people tell themselves, when I say these people, I just mean a lot of athletes. They have a bunch of yes men around them, or like, some fighters are just like, I'm the best. I'm going to be the best. And the next thing you know, you don't hear from them because they lost 4 fights in a row. And it's like, it's not about being the best amongst everyone. It's like, you got to just be the best version of yourself. You got to constantly adapt, because just because I beat you doesn't mean I'm the best, like that. There's no measurement there other than just what you've accomplished and what I've accomplished. Right. I know that on paper that seems like, you're the best fighter in the world, but MMA math makes no sense. Kamaru Usman just, look at what he did, and then now everyone's counting him out. So it's like, it's not about being the best potentially. It's more about, like, in my opinion, just being the best version of yourself, as cliche as that sounds. But it's like, you don't like taking your supplements every day because you're too lazy. You don't want to do that. Okay, well, step it up. You gotta do better, And then you have people in life, like my next opponent. I don't look at him as like he's trying to take food off my plate. Maybe the day of the fight I do, but I look at him as a test. Like I'm testing myself against him, because have I really gotten that much better? I like a lot of these quotes, like, if I need everything to be perfect, then I'm really not that. If I need everything to be perfect in order for me to win, then I'm not that good. And I'm like, there is some truth to that, So some of these kids, I see, like, I have my Dave Camarillo, my brother. My brother-in-law. He has a son, and he's my nephew, Lucas. He's starting to get into jiu-jitsu, and even in soccer, I think he got a participation trophy. I just kind of looked at him. He was like, "Look, I got a medal." I was like, did you win? Or they're like, no, everyone got one. I was like, all right, I'm not going to say anything to him. He's 6, let him have his fun. But as he gets older, it's like, I think it's good to instill that. But then again, I will say this too, like, you have to have balance, because I have a friend who he lets his kid, all he does is play video games. And this kid, if he gets bullied, he's done, right? So you can't just play video games all the time. But then if you don't let your kid play video games at an early age and let him have his fun, he's going to be too serious and, burnt out by the time he gets to a certain age, and he becomes rebellious. My mom let me play video games on the weekends. She told me to read a book at times. I didn't like it, but I did sometimes. But mostly I was active. I played basketball a lot. I got out, got a lot of sun, and worked out a lot, and, did all sorts of activities. And like playing in the dirt, just in the backyard, playing like army, crawling around, putting little like wires crawling. And if I touch like a little stick, oh, bomb blows, like get creative, be able to do stuff like that. But with society nowadays, it's not that it's wrong. It's just we have to change with it. Like social media is doing stuff, right? Social media is allowing kids to stay at home, play video games with each other. But it's like, hey, you guys could still go out, and film each other riding bikes or, skateboarding. I get sad when I see kids just at home playing video games and chatting with each other through the comms. I'm like, as fun as COD is, we have a time and place for it all, You got to go out there and meet some people, and your social skills develop, instead of this awkward, like, I'm on my phone all the time, I feel like a lot of kids nowadays, the younger kids, because we have a lot of kids that come to our school. I'm not name dropping anyone, so that way they don't get mad at me. But Guerrilla Jiu-Jitsu, I see a lot of kids and parents, and some of the kids that do Jiu-Jitsu, their siblings, I talk to them, just on their phone, and they're very awkward. There's a place to hide. But back when I was a kid, I didn't have a phone. I didn't have a place to hide. So you have to force the conversation. And that way I'm like, oh, this wasn't as bad as I thought. Like, there's times where I didn't have my phone, and then the girls in school that I thought were pretty had, phones. And I'd be like super awkward. I just look at them because I didn't have a phone. And then they would put their phone down. We'd start chatting. And I'm like, fidgeting around, and I start getting more confident because I'm like, oh, it's not hard to hold a conversation, like this is how you do it. Maybe try things this way. Don't be awkward. Don't talk about Pokemon with her next time because you'll be seen as a nerd and you'll be made fun of. A little bullying isn't bad, but like that's just my opinion on the whole thing. So I think it is important for kids to get in sports to learn and work with teams and whatnot, but also like don't overdo it. Don't be like that parent that's like, you have a 5-year-old kid and you're like, I want him to be the next UFC champion. It's like, whoa, slow down. Let him relax. Let him be a kid. So that's what I think on that. But I don't have a kid, so I can't really speak too much on it other than the experiences I have had with teaching kids. Because I teach kids. I've taught kids ever since I was 12. I assisted with kids and I ran my own kids classes since I was 14. I don't do it anymore just because I picked up my, pro fighting and stuff. But even when I was in Asia, and there's a school that hired me. They didn't even need me to have you usually need a degree, like a PE degree or, sports education. They just knew me as the pro MMA fighter in Taiwan. So that district at the school cleared all my paperwork somehow magically without a college degree. And they're like, can you teach our kids? And I was like, what do you want me to teach them? They're like, well, they have extracurricular activities like, maybe Chinese kickboxing, Sanda. Can you teach them jiu-jitsu? We'll get them gis. And I was like, sure. And they actually, paid me to do that. So it was super cool. So that was a really unique experience too, just, being able to work with kids. But I always like to tell people, like, I don't have a kid, so you can't always take what I have. I don't know what waking up and having to deal with a kid is like. So I can't really say, but for what for what it's worth, what I've done is my background is work with a lot of kids. I get to talk to them and interact with them as if I wasn't a parent. So I'm not biased or personally attached to them as much as I am. I could see things from like a non-biased point of view other than like a coaching view. I just want the best for them. So that's all I got to say.
That's music to my ears. And I know that when my wife goes back and listens to this, it's going to be music to her ears. I can think about a time where we're looking at a couple of different leagues for my son, right? My little guy. Yeah. And she's looking at one league. She's like, wait, what does that say there? Everybody gets a trophy. She's like, all right, we're not signing him up for that league. We're signing him up for this league. No, but it's true, man. I think there's so many valuable lessons. I agree with you 100%.
I remember the first jiu-jitsu tournament that I did, I got choked out by the first guy, right, that I faced. And I was like, all right, cool. Pulled guard, threw up the triangle, gassed my legs out. He got out and then choked me out. And I was like, damn, that was cool. It was super cool. The guy was super cool too. And then they're like, oh yeah, come over here, get your shirt for the tournament. I was like, all right. So I'm going to grab the shirt and they're like, oh, here's a medal too. And I was like, what? I just lost the first round. What do you mean? I didn't get it past one guy. I don't want a trophy to remind me that I lost to the first guy I faced.
Yeah, that actually happened to me too. When I turned blue belt, when I got my blue belt, I actually kept the medal though because I wanted to remind myself that I didn't earn it, so it doesn't belong where all my medals are. So I wrote it on the back because all my medals, you can flip it around and you can see the submission that I got. The points, if I beat them by points, the points, it's just to remind me. It's like a reminder of those events. It's like a trophy, right? And I turned that one around and it said defeat or it says lost. And I'm like, damn it, like this doesn't belong here. I need to get another one to replace that place, So, and the reason why, by the way, cool. I know you guys were kind of talking about like movies and stuff. I'm kind of like nerdy like this. The reason why I started hanging my trophies up instead of just putting them in a pile, like in a box or something, was because when I watched Predator 2, with Danny Glover, the ending.
Oh, yeah.
The alien, the T-Rex head, all these heads. I was like, this is so cool. He takes trophies. I want to start doing that. That's why I got, if you guys know anything about Dave, he's a submission guy, like a jiu-jitsu guy. He submits people with arm attacks, arm locks. He's called the Arm Hunter, him and his brother. I was like, as cool as that is, the Predator took skulls. And I'm like, I just want to take people's necks. So that's why I developed my stuff. So it's completely different from Dave, too. And he's like, you should have better arm bars. I'm like, sorry, Dave, Predator.
You're like, but have you seen the Chinese necktie?
Yeah, I've seen the Chinese necktie.
That's awesome. Oh, yeah. Hey, I think that's a perfect segue, though, Will. He talks about the movies he likes. So we know that you're a big Marvel fan. You're a movie fan. And we like to have fun with all of our guests on here. So do you mind if we play a little game with you right now? We set up a tournament with different superheroes, and we want you to break it down and let us know who would win between these two superheroes. No. And we're going to see at the end.
You guys got time for this? You sure?
Let's do this. Let's do this. And so I'm not very good at superhero stuff, right? So Will's going to help me out with this one. He busted the picture out of somebody, and I was like, who's this green lizard guy? He's like, he's not a lizard at all. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to have to back up on this one a little bit. But
it's all good.
What's the first one, Will?
Rich, I think has it. The first one we're gonna go with Iron Man versus Batman.
Oh, come on, guys. Come on. All right, look, as good as Iron Man is, I feel like he lacks a little bit of the discipline because, he's a playboy, rich guy. I know Batman is too, but the way Batman got his powers, he didn't rely on. Because here's the thing with Iron Man, you shut his suit off. He's not really a good hand-to-hand combat. If you want to do the movies, right? If you want to do the comic books, he has a little bit of hand-to-hand combat skills, but come on, he's got nothing on Batman. So all Batman has to do is nerf somehow, nerf all the suits, and he takes his suits off, right? And he's got nothing. EMP, right? Everyone likes to use that word.
Yeah.
Then they fight off, and it's like, who wins? He's got nothing. What is he going to get? Get a screwdriver? Come on. Batman's fought like, Bane, who broke his back. So Batman wins that.
I like that.
Perfect. Perfect.
This is already going way better than I thought it would, Will, because I'm learning in the process too, and this is fun.
Yeah. Okay. So that's perfect. So the next one is going to be one of your favorites, Iron Fist versus Black Panther.
Oh, man, that's tough. That is a tough one. Okay, so there's two ways you can do this because Iron Fist has his powers no matter what, right? He doesn't need a suit. If you want to do the real live action one, which that guy sucked I'm sorry, the Netflix show was just garbage.
Yeah.
Then obviously, Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther wins. But if you want to go the comic book route,
let's go that route.
Depending on which Iron Fist you chose, you're talking about a guy Black Panther, who has a goddess pantheon, right? Like he represents that. But Shao the Undying, you got to fight him, take his heart, and you get to harness that ability. Like, dude, that's just something else. And also, Black Panther is like a king. So if we want to get technical, he has to run his country. Wakanda, he has to do all sorts of stuff like that. Whereas Iron Fist is just training every day. He's just training, man. He doesn't have to protect. He has to protect a monastery. He's just, all he's doing is fighting. He's just straight up fighting. He's making everyone catch hands. So Iron Fist, in my opinion, has it because Black Panther doesn't have like a power up. I mean, he does, but just like on their base power level, Iron Fist could start turning it up more and more. And if you ask me, someone who trains every day and does martial arts every day for a living, as opposed to Black Panther who walks around in armor, I got Iron Fist in a straight up hand-to-hand combat fight.
Nice.
By the way, this is the guy I called Green Lizard Guy, so this is why I'm not talking very much.
I thought you were talking actually about the lizard,
Like lizard?
No,
yeah,
it was that guy.
It was not that close.
That's why I'm saying I'm totally off on this.
Giving him too much credit with that one. Okay, next one. We're gonna do Spider-Man versus Wolverine.
Wolverine. That one's a no-brainer. Wolverine's got too many years of training from, because he just keeps healing and regenerating and, years ago, like the movies. And I don't care if you choose Tom Holland, Spider-Man, the live action one, you could choose all three of them versus Wolverine. And that guy, Wolverine went toe to toe with the Hulk, in my opinion, depending on which variation you use. But even like Logan, as old as he was still a savage. And you take, reverse that maybe in their primes, even when Spider-Man was he was always been like a local guy. Wolverine, you could throw him in front of almost anyone. You could have him go with what was it? The last Doctor Strange movie. What's her name? Scarlet Witch, right? She could be tearing him apart, and he'll just be healing and
just keeps coming back.
United. Yeah, he just keeps coming back. He's a savage. And one thing I will say this though is I don't get why he never learned how to actually fight. There's those memes where he still goes after people the same way, from 20 years ago, 100 years ago. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? So
it's got him this far.
Matchup though. Yeah, that's true. But I got Wolverine on this one.
Wolverine, okay. You brought it up already, but we're gonna go Wonder Woman versus Scarlet Witch.
Oh, I always talk to my friends about stuff like this. I don't think I've done a matchup like that. But I'm gonna be super biased here. I like Elizabeth Olsen, but Gal Gadot, man, I don't get starstruck, or I don't get like, super, even if I saw Keanu Reeves, I'll be honest, if I had a chance to meet him in person, it'd be super cool. But Gal Gadot's like that one actress that I'm just like, damn, that's my, like I'd love to get a photo with her. I mean, even if I saw Elizabeth Olsen, I think it'd just be really cool, but I wouldn't take a photo or anything. But Gal Gadot, that's the girl, that's like my celebrity crush right there. So
that's awesome.
In the movie world, I think Wonder Woman is just the savage. She does it. But honestly, in the comic books, I actually think Scarlet Witch wins that. So, Will, I'm going to need you to do the tiebreaker. Like, who do you think? Which one do you think we're going to go with?
Well, I'm heavy biased with the DCEU. I think Wonder Woman's intro in Batman versus Superman when she drops down, the music starts
raw
playing.
As hell.
Come
okay,
on.
that's it. That's how we do it. Yeah.
We'll win it with
that's
that.
True.
I'm going to get a lot of hate for that from all my friends, but we're going to go with that.
All right, so that brings us to the second round, is it?
Next round, yeah. So we had Batman beating Iron Man. So we're going to introduce the classic matchup of Batman versus Superman right on cue.
This one's like apples and oranges. This one's tough because obviously Superman, right? But
yeah,
no, you know what? No, this one's actually kind of easy if you think about it. Time and time again, Superman has proved he's just weak as hell, dude. Like this guy has all the powers in the world, and he just forgets that he has these. So no, it doesn't matter which variation, even the one where he goes buck wild because Lois and all that stuff. Superman, no, Batman. This is easy.
So it's more like of a mental thing with
Batman
Superman
with prep time.
Even without prep time, like if he like let's just say he knows Superman and Superman just turned bad one day, and he already has a contingency for that, like the Green Rock. And not only that, but Superman is like so weak in the sense that you're like, you mentioned Lois's name, he's done. He's like, all right, what?
Yeah.
Like you could just mind control him, or Martha. It's like, no.
So Batman. Awesome. Okay. So the next part of the bracket, since Iron Fist beat Black Panther, we're going Iron Fist versus The Flash.
See, here we go again. Same problem. The Flash has only one superpower. No one knows it. Everyone always gets confused. He has one superpower. That's it. Even the speedy thing with the hands that he does, it's like it's all from speed. Yeah. Now, the thing with the Flash is he can't really fight. And there's certain moves that Iron Fist has done in the comics where he, like, it's like a buffer move. Like you can't get within a certain range of him because it's chi blast. And then the Flash is tripping. He's unathletic sometimes. And then his brain is kind of, I don't know, man. This guy is like, you know how many pep talks this guy needed from the CW's Flash? Like he's like, oh, all I needed was his pep talk. And then 2 episodes later, same villain, another pep talk. It's like,
okay, man, I'm going to need you guys to do another one of these for me.
Yeah. So Iron Fist got this.
We're going Iron Fist. Yeah, the one thing for the Flash for me is it's always, and this is coming from somebody who just got married wearing Flash socks, but it's always the mental weakness, like you said, because physically, I mean, I remember in the New 52 first issue, he gets shot in the face. Yep. But his physical reaction, the bullet barely breaks his spin before his body like recoils and it dodges it.
No. You're the fastest man on the planet, but you can't hear a bullet go off in freeze time because you're so fast and react. Like, come on, dude.
He keeps making these little mental lapses. Yeah.
Yeah, and not only that, but let's just look at like the movies, the live action. You got Ezra Miller over here like doing God knows what, about to shut down the Flash movie. So no, I mean, as bad as Iron Fist was, at least as an actor, I don't think the guy's a dick like Ezra Miller. And I'm not just saying that because I'm seeing headlines, but like, have you seen the actual videos?
It's crazy.
Guy? That the guy's like a loose cannon. What is he doing? So no, take that away.
Wild.
Yeah,
we're going Iron Fist. Alrighty. Let's see. Wolverine beats Spider-Man, so we're going Wolverine versus Thor.
Oh man, that's a good one.
That's a tough one.
I think Thor's got it. Thor's kind of like Thor's got it. Yeah, I mean, as good as Wolverine is, I don't think he's worthy. So you just smack him around with that hammer a few times, and then not only that, but once you get because Thor, let's say you throw Wolverine in the front of like his castle and just starts slaying away the soldiers. He could always do his whole little thing with like finding I'm blanking on the name, but he's not the midget from Endgame, the guy who made his weapon. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Stormbreaker.
Yeah.
He could always make a weapon that's like it's enchanted to not let you heal. You know, like Wolverine, like take away his
Yeah.
magical abilities
Uh,
and stuff. I think he's a little too OP.
That's a
This
good
match is
point.
a little too OP. I think Thor pretty much smokes him. As good as the
Yeah.
adamantium is, you put an adamantium bullet in his head, he gets, he forgets his memory, or it's like Thor. You need something a little bit bigger to take him down.
Yeah. We're definitely from here on, I think we're treading further and further into the OP matchups.
Okay, I like it. I like it.
Well, actually, and I say that this is the last character we're introducing. This is the
Okay.
last new character introduced. Wonder Woman with the badass Batman vs Superman intro beat Scarlet Witch, and so she's gonna go up against Black Adam.
Oh, So this is a good one because we haven't seen the new Black Adam movie, But if
Got to
you're
base it
going
off the
from like
comics.
the animated movies and stuff, the comics, Black
Oh yeah,
Adam, you needed Shazam and Superman to kind of do like, nah, Black Adam's got this. He's older too, like he's got more wisdom. She like basically essentially served under him if you think about it, like in terms of like the timeline, she's not even close to like even the mom of Wonder Woman is like barely the same age, I think, or if not, it's like they could have dated for all we know. Like I think Black Adam's got this.
yeah, yeah. I think Black Adam, and it's gonna be interesting to see how they do the movie because like the old school Black Adam, it's like he can't get hit with his own bolt because if he
No.
does, he's dust because he's so
Yeah.
old. I
And
don't know if they're
also,
gonna do
they
that.
hyped up this movie a lot, so better be because look, I don't mind this movie, but they pushed it back. And Dwayne The
Yeah,
Rock Johnson is great at hyping things up. He's like, no other superhero movie like this. But I'm like, I've heard this a million times from every director
yeah,
about every superhero movie. The only superhero thing that's different from all the rest is The Boys. That's like the greatest
yeah,
one so far, in my opinion. And they don't even have as big as a budget. And then you got, DC over here screwing around. So it's like when you say this is the best one, it's like, all right, come on, let's see what you're really going to do. I'll give them benefit of the doubt, but if it doesn't live up to the hype, I'm just like, what are you doing, man?
I'm just excited because they got my boy Doctor Fate in it, so they
Dude,
better
Doctor
not do him
Fate.
dirty.
If you ask me, Doctor Fate, Doctor Strange, Doctor Fate all day, dude.
Thank you.
Strange
Wow,
ain't touching them.
there you go. Lifelong fan out of me for that. Doctor Fate, my boy. It's one of my OGs.
He's
Okay,
savage, dude.
Batman beat Superman, and Iron Fist beat the Flash. So we got Batman versus Iron Fist.
I like my boy Batman, but Iron Fist. If you just put him in a cage, there's no prep time, nothing. If you just have him like actually fight. See, the thing with you give them both their full gear, right? I don't think Batman has something that could actually stop you. Feel that your smoke, like Iron Fist has been. He's trained all his senses to be heightened. Hand to hand, I think they're pretty even. But then the thing with Iron Fist is he has his chi, his Iron Fist that he can literally summon. So I think he beats the Batman, honestly. But if you put it in a random scenario, like Batman and him fight in a city, I think Batman knows too many loopholes, too many gadgets that he'll beat him. But I'm gonna say Iron Fist just like straight up. If they fought like 9 times out of 10, Iron Fist is just too hard to deal with.
I like it. That's actually a cool matchup. I don't know if I've ever even seen that put together.
I mean, if you watch the movies, I still think Batman wins. But man, Iron Fist. If you want to get technical, Iron Fist.
Yeah, I like it. All right, so let's see. Thor beat Wolverine. Black Adam beat Wonder Woman. So this probably should have been the finale, but Black Adam versus Thor.
Dude, what do you think? Man, that was a tough one.
Yeah, honestly, when I saw it match up, I was like, oh, damn, that's actually really sick.
Tough. Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Both have magic, right? Both have lightning. That's a cool matchup. I never even thought about it.
I think Black Adam, because again, I refer back to Shazam and Black Adam, and then Shazam and Superman both had a team up on Black Adam, and they were still getting rocked. I'm gonna go with Black Adam. The variations I've seen, he's scarier than the variations we've seen of Thor. Even in the animated one, Thor is getting like kind of smoked by the Hulk.
Yeah,
and like if you put Doomsday against Thor, I think Doomsday even wins that one, but Doomsday versus Black Adam, and I think Doomsday's got a little bit of a problem, because Black Adam is tough. I don't think they got to do him right, but he's like OP in the comic books. He's like literally terrifying. So I think I got Black Adam on this one.
Yeah, that's. I think that's. You couldn't say it better. I don't think. So now, because of that, we got the finale, and it's Black Adam versus your boy Iron Fist.
Versus
Yeah,
your
that's gonna be
boy.
tough. I'm gonna say Black Adam wins that one, but here's how Iron Fist I think could win is because anytime you start playing around with magic, because like Iron Fist is not magical, he literally
Yeah,
harnesses energy that he built and all that stuff. There's no magic involved. There's no spell that you could go like, I'm not going to allow you to summon your chi. It just doesn't work like that because it's a universal energy. With Black Adam, he could technically, if he fought him in some sort of temple, weaken his magic use where they just straight up fight. Because if it was a straight up fight, like they're at the similar level, Iron Fist is
Mhm.
killing Black Adam. Black Adam's not really a fighter; he's just OP as hell. So
yeah.
I think Iron Fist would beat him like that. But if they just straight up met and they didn't know anything of each other, I don't care how strong Iron Fist punches him. I think Black Adam's beating him. So I think we got Black Adam on this one.
There we go. We should have had a picture of just The Rock and just had him as
but then superhero math makes no sense because if you had
yeah,
Batman in the finale with Black Adam, oh dude, Batman smoked because Black Adam's not that smart.
yeah,
Black Adam would get smoked by super Batman because Batman would just, he's like, oh, I mean, if even if he puts on Fate's helmet, like
yeah.
OP, just no. So I think the math doesn't make sense, but in the scenarios that we broke it down, Black Adam's the winner.
Hey, it's just like MMA. Styles make fights.
Makes no sense, right? Nate's the
So
welterweight champion.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is the first time we ever had a superhero bracket. Comes out Black Adam defeating Kai's boy. It says on there Iron Fist. So Green Lizard loses. No, but Kai, man, we can't thank you enough for joining us on the podcast. We had an absolute blast. And I love the way that you were able to break everything down for us. I mean, not just from the fighting to the way that you got into fighting, what sports and, losing and competition means growing up. And then all the way down to Black Adam, right? And why it is that he would destroy everybody else. So can't thank you enough, man. Was there anything that you wanted to share? Anything you wanted to plug? I know you have a fight coming up on September 3rd against Joshua Dillon, right?
Yeah, that should be a fun fight because I was saying in another interview actually was I'm starting to feel like last year when I fought in Colorado, there's just so many things happening in life. It put me mentally in a weird spot. Like I was just going through the motion. I think because I'm like, oh, I'm a pro fighter, therefore my job is to fight. Therefore, I need to take a fight and just go and do it. But there was no emotion. Like I had perfect sleep. I don't want to have perfect sleep when I have a fight coming up. I want to be a little bit worried because there's, this guy could potentially hurt me. It's not like I think people will like not like me anymore because I don't care about that. Like the fans go like, you suck and this and that. It's more along the lines of I don't want my hard work to go, like obviously for naught. So I definitely think this fight is different. I just am excited, nervous, scared, but it's what I want. So when I fought in Colorado, there's just going through the motions. It was just tough, and then this one feels completely different. So I'm actually really excited, and then also it's on Fight Pass too, and I think this is the first time I've fought on Fight Pass. So it's definitely like a good introduction to that crowd, and it's a good matchup. This guy is kind of a brawler, wrestler, very untechnical in the sense that like against my style, like if you look at technique for technique, I have cleaner technique, but that's almost like we go hand in hand. How do you beat a untechnical brawler? You be more technical than him. How do you beat a technical guy? You make it a dog fight, and that's what he does. So I'm very surprised at this matchup because a lot of people have said, Kai, you haven't come across a wrestler yet. I'm like, that was true until I fought my second Bellator fight, or my first Bellator fight, sorry. And the guy was a wrestler, right? He was ranked top 10 after a certain point too. So that was good test. But even then in that fight, I didn't get wrestled much. This guy, though, I feel like his style is more pressure, random shots out of nowhere. So I'm actually excited. It makes me it makes me really excited to test my skills. And this past year, just having fights fall through, not having any fights or not having fought for over a year, a little over a year now, and just fights falling through, getting COVID, breaking a finger, just like, random stuff. So this one is really exciting. And even getting a chat with you guys, it just feels like, oh, I'm getting close to fight week, because it's usually, I chat with people usually close to fight week with all the interviews and stuff, but it just feels like I'm getting back into the swing of things. So I'm super excited. And yeah, I appreciate your guys' time and for having me on, talk my superhero nonsense, It was really fun sharing all that with you guys. And yeah, I'd love to do it again anytime you guys would like to have me on and chat. I'd love to jump on. I like doing stuff like this. I don't mind doing media stuff because, when you get to the bigger leagues, that's all you do. And I'd rather fall in love with it now than hate it later, So that's how I plan on doing things. And thank you guys for your time. You guys didn't have to. Sorry it took so long with the whole internet connection thing. And then sorry for taking so much of your guys' time, but I really appreciate it.
No, man, we appreciate it. I mean, this was awesome. Very much looking forward to the fight. Stoked it's on Fight Pass. You'll have some guys watching it in your corner.
Yep. And then it's Khai Wu all together, right, on Instagram?
Yeah, Khai Wu on Instagram, on TikTok now, because that's a new thing. I think Twitter is the same thing, and then Facebook, I have a athlete page, Khai Wu, and then it's a / with my Chinese name on there. But I'm sure you could find me anywhere. Like just type in Khai Wu. There's not a lot of Khai Wus around.
Yeah, if they can't find you, they're just not trying hard enough. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. No, I got to work harder at getting it.
One or the other. No, but if you don't mind hanging on a few seconds afterwards, Khai. But thanks again for joining us. And everybody else that tuned in, thank you for listening to another special episode of Story of the Fight.